Swearing in Carney's cabinet. Canada's Prime Minister unveils his new team.
Today, who's in and who's out? The new faces taking on some high-profile roles. Good afternoon. Just over 2 weeks since the federal election, and Prime Minister Mark Carney's cabinet was sworn in at Rideau Hall a short time ago.
It includes moving some key players to take on new positions, including tackling Canada's relationship with the United States. Our Rahim Ladhani is monitoring today's developments. He joins us live with the details. Rahim.
Well, Michelle, this is a defining day for the Prime Minister because it shows Canadians how he plans to govern the country, which issues he values as a priority, and maybe most importantly, who he trusts to make important decisions and carry out his vision for which he was elected. Now, Carney's new cabinet is already showing a major difference compared to Justin Trudeau's. Trudeau's last cabinet had 39 ministers. Today, Carney appointed 28 full-fledged cabinet ministers and 10 secretaries of state. Think of them as junior ministers. The central team will take on the lead of big portfolios, while the secretaries may be tapped to stick-handle specific files. Now, Carney is not the first PM to ever do this. The system is also used in the United Kingdom, but it does give us some insight into Carney's leadership style. All right, so now let's get into who the cabinet is comprised of, and it's a mix of familiar and new faces.
The Honourable Dominic LeBlanc, President of the Privy Council for Canada and Minister...
Tasked with forging a new relationship with the United States and President Donald Trump is Dominic LeBlanc. He has been given the crucial role of President of the King's Privy Council for Canada and Minister responsible for Canada-U.S. trade, intergovernmental affairs, and One Canadian economy. Some of the other familiar names are Chrystia Freeland, who was a catalyst in Justin Trudeau stepping down. She's been named Minister of Transport and International Trade, Internal Trade rather. Another Trudeau-era minister, Anita Anand, has been named Minister of Foreign Affairs. Francois-Philippe Champagne named a Finance and National Revenue, and former Foreign Affairs Minister Melanie Joly has been named Minister of Industry and Minister responsible for Canada Economic Development in Quebec regions. Now, there are also many new faces, including newly elected MPs. They include rookie MP Tim Hodgson. He has a shared history with Carney from Goldman Sachs. Hodgson named Minister of Energy and Natural Resources. Marjorie Michel, who took over Trudeau's Papineau riding in Quebec and was his chief of staff, she's been named Minister of Health. And former Vancouver Mayor Gregor Robertson named Minister of Housing and Infrastructure. Now, the Prime Minister says this team he has assembled will act on a mandate for change and urgency with determination. He says his focus is on building a new Canadian economy, one that creates higher-paying jobs while also creating security with Canada's relationship with the United States. Carney also says that those appointed today are expected to bring new ideas and decisive action to their work. Reporting live, I'm Rahim Ladhani. I'll send it back to you both.
All right, thank you, Rahim. And the swearing-in ceremony continues in Ottawa live this noon hour. Our coverage of Carney's cabinet continues online. This is a live shot inside Rideau Hall, and this whole thing should be wrapping up soon. And CTV's chief political correspondent Vashi Capellos will have an exclusive interview with Prime Minister Mark Carney later this afternoon. You can catch it on Power Play on CTV News Channel at 5 p.m.
We turn now to the effort to keep our roads safe.
Multiple police agencies have come together to try to stop street racing and other high-risk driving. CTV's Allison Hurst joins us live from Peel Region, where Project Erase was launched this morning. Allison.
The news conference, which just wrapped up in the last 10 minutes, discussed exactly what they're going to do. They've got police forces from right across the GTA all coming together to combat street racing.
Excessive speed continues to be the leading contributor to fatal collisions in the GTA.
Stunt driving and illegal car rallies are the target of this annual multi-jurisdictional campaign. Since 2022, Peel Regional Police have seen a 154% increase in street racing-related charges, and they're leading Project Erase. It's working alongside the Toronto Police Service, York Regional Police, Halton Regional Police, and Hamilton Police Service and the OPP. Fines in Mississauga and Brampton are up to $800 for both participants and spectators at illegal car rallies, and there could be vehicle impoundments and driver's license suspensions as well.
In the last 2 weeks alone, we've seized 32 vehicles and laid more than 400 charges, including almost 30 related to stunt driving. Dangerous driving will not be tolerated in our communities.
So this year in Toronto, we've responded to 182 calls related to stunt driving, and this is in Toronto alone. And our officers have already laid 229 stunt driving charges.
And Peel Regional Police have warned that there will be an increase of police visibility in certain areas where these illegal meetups and street racing is happening. Reporting live, I'm Allison Hurst. Back to you in studio.
All right. Thank you, Allison. Toronto police say arrests have been made in the stabbing of 2 students near a Scarboro high school. It happened yesterday afternoon near Sir Wilfrid Laurier Collegiate at Guildwood Parkway and Livingston Road. 2 boys aged 15 and 16 were stabbed at a nearby plaza. Their injuries are not believed to be life-threatening. Both are students at the school. Investigators say multiple suspects wearing all black took off from the scene. Police aren't yet confirming how many suspects are in custody. Emergency crews remain on the scene of a fire that tore through several downtown homes last night.
A firefighter was injured battling the blaze, and today there are concerns about that building's structural integrity. CTV's Janice Goulding joins us live from the scene on Bathurst near Richmond with the latest. Janice.
Hi, Michelle. Yes, you can see that there's still quite a few first responders on scene, and 3 homes behind us are completely uninhabitable with damage estimated to be in the millions. Now, viewer video shows fire shooting through the roofs from these homes on Bathurst near Richmond, smoke billowing through the night sky as fire crews tackled the 3-alarm blaze. Emergency crews got the call at around 10:30 p.m., and when they arrived, they found a detached home and 2 semi-detached houses on fire. The fire originated in one unit before spreading to the others, the roof eventually collapsing on one of the affected units. Now, one firefighter sustained minor injuries and was taken to hospital, but we are told he has since been released. Toronto Fire says only one of the homes was occupied and no residents were injured. A dog would be rescued from the scene and reunited with its owners.
I mean, initially, there were lots of calls to 911 from civilians. It happened fairly early at 10:30 p.m. And so, crews arriving on scene immediately called for a second alarm. And then in order to have proper resources, it got up to a 3rd alarm.
Very ambivalent about it, very scared.
I live on the corner, and so last night there were flames and you could smell the smoke from our apartment and bellowing out. So pretty depressing.
It was really intense all night. Like, I was debating going to a friend's house. I have a dog. I was just like worried about our health, and yeah, it seemed like a really big fire.
Firefighters are all still on scene conducting a fire watch. The Ontario Fire Marshal's office has been called in to investigate. Reporting live, I'm Janice Goulding. Now back to Michelle.
Thank you, Janice. And still to come this noon hour, another blow to Ontario's automotive industry. Honda says it is postponing a $15 billion electric vehicle project in the province. Reaction from the Premier and the latest from Queen's Park just ahead.
And we have more news in a moment, but first, here's a live look at the city this afternoon. A sun-cloud mix today. Conditions are comfortable, but there's also a slight chance of rain in some areas, and that possibility of rain continues throughout the week. Lindsay Morrison is here with a look at the current conditions. Hey, Lindsay.
Hey, Nathan. Yes, this unsettled pattern has now begun. It was a pretty nice morning overall, but we are starting to see more in the way of cloud cover, and we've got showers already impacting areas like Port Rowan and extending into Niagara, reaching toward us here in the GTA, but we've got a little ways to go before those scattered showers do arrive. Right now, it's 15 degrees on the Toronto Islands. It's 21 at Pearson, so still very comfortable outside. 22 degrees this hour in London and 23 in Barrie, 24 in Peterborough. We are still dealing with an easterly wind, so that will keep some lakeside communities a little cooler today. Overall, though, not bad. You might want to keep the umbrella handy, not just for today, but for the next couple of days. And coming up, we'll talk about when there's also the risk of a thunderstorm. That's ahead in your forecast. For now, though, Nathan, back to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. At Queen's Park, the province's financial plan will be revealed when the budget is tabled on Thursday.
CTV's Queen's Park Bureau Chief Siobhan Morris has more on that and some concerning news impacting the auto industry today.
All right, over here first.
Thursday's budget will include a break for drivers first promised during the spring election campaign.
Our government will be making our temporary cuts to gas and fuel tax rates permanent.
Those moves shave more than 5 cents off a liter of gas. That's not an extra discount. The cut has been in place since the summer of 2022, but it's been on a 6-month basis. Another campaign trail pledge aimed at drivers is also on the way.
Starting June the 1st, 2025, tolls from Brock Road to Highway 35, 115 are coming off the 407.
Doug Ford has framed these changes as protecting Ontario in uncertain times. That uncertainty is being felt acutely today as Honda Canada says it's postponing a $15 billion investment in electric vehicle manufacturing in Alliston. The delay 2 years because of a slowdown in demand for EVs. The company insists the pause won't affect 4,200 people already working in Alliston.
Well, I've talked to them and they've reassured me that we're going to continue producing, incredible vehicles out of Alliston and their plant there. They said they're going to continue moving on with the expansion.
Ontario has committed $2.5 billion in direct and indirect support for the Honda expansion.
We warned you over and over again to attach strings to those investments, those Ontario dollars that were attached to companies like Honda, and you shrugged it off. You trust them implicitly. Well, you know what? People of Ontario are tired of your platitudes.
Opposition party leaders demand the government make EVs made in Ontario more affordable to Ontario drivers.
Restore rebates for new electric vehicles and to bring in rebates for the growing used electric vehicle market.
To this point, the Premier hasn't signaled any willingness to revive those rebates he ended when first taking office in 2018. At Queen's Park, Siobhan Morris, CTV News.
At Toronto City Hall, Mayor Olivia Chow's executive committee is meeting today. Among the items up for discussion are the city's winter maintenance program. Mayor Chow is recommending the city manager conduct a full review of operations to identify ways to improve. Members will also go over the mayor's economic action plan to respond to U.S. tariffs. The city manager has recommended the plan be updated and adapted to ensure it continues to respond to Toronto's needs. We'll also report back in July on how the plan is being implemented.
The TTC will consider changing the name of Dundas subway station to TMU station at its Wednesday board meeting. A report to be discussed by the board recommends changing the name to reflect the evolution of both the local neighborhood and nearby Toronto Metropolitan University. The report notes the universities presented the TTC with an offer that would cover the cost of the renaming and create an opportunity for ongoing collaboration with the university. The proposal follows the renaming of Yonge Dundas Square to Sankofa Square after numerous studies found Henry Dundas, the square's namesake, was involved in delaying the abolition of the transatlantic slave trade.
The family of a missing man are marking a somber anniversary. It was 2 years ago yesterday that Nathan Wise vanished without a trace. The 39-year-old has Down syndrome. As CTV's Hannah Schmidt reports, his loved ones are hoping to keep his story in the public eye.
We really miss him a lot, and we just want answers.
It's a milestone no family ever wants to reach.
It started to get real tough as of last night. Our minds were going and stuff going into this day.
2 years since 39-year-old Nathan Wise vanished, and 2 years without answers.
There's been many tips going into the Missing Persons Unit of Toronto Police Service as things still come in bits and pieces, but we still have no solid answers.
Nathan was last seen on May 12, 2023 in the area of Jane Street and Shepherd Avenue West in Toronto, but where he went next remains a mystery.
That is kind of what we're trying to do, is keep his name out there. So if you know anything, please let us know.
While Nathan was living in Toronto at the time of his disappearance, he grew up in Waterloo region and made many friends during his time there.
So I've known Nathan for about maybe 12, 15 years. I don't know, you just have all these thoughts of how you could have made a change and it would have changed the outcome of what happened.
His disappearance triggered a wave of searches from the city streets of Toronto to the trails and parks of Waterloo region. Despite dozens of appeals and public pleas, there have been no confirmed sightings, no solid leads.
You just have that small glimmer of hope, even though it doesn't feel realistic. So it's hard to have that hope that you might see him one day.
I'm standing outside a Walmart here in Waterloo, a spot Nathan used to visit often. For his family, this isn't just a store, it's a place filled with memories.
Actually, where we're doing the interview here today was really close to him. He visited this Walmart and the A&W almost every day. They knew him by name.
Toronto police confirming there are no new updates with regards to their investigation, and the search for Nathan is ongoing. Meantime, his family is left clinging to memories and to hope that he'll come home.
I just would want to let him know that he's in no trouble at all. We would just like him back home and bring him home here to the Waterloo region where he belongs.
Hannah Schmidt, CTV News, Waterloo.
Overseas now, Donald Trump began his visit to the Gulf states today by selling a nearly $142 million arms package to Saudi Arabia. The U.S. president was in Riyadh for talks with the Crown Prince. The arms deal is part of a $600 billion Saudi commitment to invest in the United States. Both men signed the agreement that includes energy, defense, mining, and other areas. Trump is accompanied by American business leaders. The delegation will be in Qatar tomorrow and the United Arab Emirates on Thursday.
Meanwhile, the Trump administration is ending another $450 million in grants to Harvard University. The grants being cut are from 8 federal agencies. An administration anti-Semitism task force says there's been a failure by the school to confront what it calls pervasive race discrimination and anti-Semitic harassment plaguing its campus. The university is already suing the administration as it canceled $2.2 billion in federal funding to Harvard last week.
Meanwhile, Canada's top diplomat in Washington says initial talks with the Trump administration will focus on tariffs. Kristen Hillman says the first discussions won't immediately address the Canada-U.S.-Mexico agreement on trade. Trump slapped Canada with economic-wide duties in March, only to partially pause tariffs on imports compliant with the trade agreement a few days later. We're also being hit with duties on steel, aluminum, and automobiles.
A new poll suggests most Canadians would not like to see Canada with a two-party political system. Nearly half of the 1,600 people surveyed online by Leger say a two-party system would not be good for the country. 30% said they don't know. Now, the poll also suggests people in Ontario and Alberta are most open to a two-party system. The recent federal election saw the Liberals and Conservatives win 313 of the 343 seats.
I'm Jessica Smith. We are here at the High Park Zoo with 2 of the newest additions to the zoo family, Molly McMoo and her younger brother, yet to be named. Coming up, we'll talk about these amazing animals and all the other things you can expect here at the High Park Zoo. That's coming up after the break.
Well, I think it's a pretty good day to venture to the zoo. Of course, we do have some unsettled weather in store for the next couple of days. Here's what that looks like on our forecast radar. It gives you an idea of just how scattered in nature these showers are expected to be. So next couple of days, maybe keep the umbrella handy. But again, no particular day is expected to be a washout. And I know it's that time of year when we've got afternoon, evening sports happening for the kids and for adults. Today specifically, I want you to pay close attention to 4, 5 p.m. and then again as we make our way into the late evening. Those are our best windows of opportunity for some wet weather for today. Again, very scattered in nature over the next couple of days. And we've got to talk about the long weekend. Will it be unsettled? I've got some good news. And I've got maybe not the best news either as well. We'll talk all about it with a full look at your 7-day forecast after this break here on CTV News at noon. Stay with us.
Well, it's been a great start to this Tuesday. You know, the sun's shining out there, not too cool, but we're anticipating the wet weather, wondering just how much it's going to soak us today.
Yeah, you can sense that there is rain coming, but I will say when I went out this morning, it was okay. It was comfortable enough. I'll take it.
And we discussed this yesterday, how even though it's an unsettled week, temperature-wise, not bad, right? I mean, already we're in the 20s here in southern Ontario. I wanted to show you where it has been particularly hot the last few days. Northern parts of Ontario and also southern Manitoba. And we're not just talking a couple of degrees warmer than here. Take a look at Winnipeg. Yesterday, the city climbed to 35 degrees. And guess what? Overnight last night, the low was 21. And today is going to be another 35-degree day. This is record record territory. Highly unusual for this time of year. This is what we expect in the middle of summer. Let me show you the heat warnings that are in place for, again, southern Manitoba and northwestern sections of Ontario. It's interesting because, yes, we too are warm in the south, but paling in comparison to what our neighbors are experiencing. So Red Lake, Fort Frances under that heat warning, and yes, the city of Winnipeg too. There's also a special weather statement that blankets much of northern Ontario, talking about warm weather, including Moosonee. Take a look at some of these temperatures. It is already 30 degrees in Winnipeg. It's 28 in Crane Lake, 18 degrees in Thunder Bay, so not quite as hot, but look at Timmins and Sudbury and Geraldton, 27 at this hour, and we still have several hours of daytime heating to go. Again, temperature-wise, we're not bad here in the GTA. 21 degrees at Pearson. It's 18 degrees in Hamilton. There is an east wind once again today that's going to keep some communities a little bit cool. How about 26 degrees in Parry Sound and 25 again in Bancroft? You were one of the warmer spots yesterday. Hey, Windsor, who's typically in some of the warmest sections of our country at times, a little cooler today at 19 degrees this hour. There has been some active weather across the southwest. I mentioned those showers just making their way north off the shoreline of Lake Erie. And around Niagara, you might be experiencing some wet weather, depending on which part of the region you're joining us from. It's been an increase in cloud cover for the city of Toronto. Look at this. This is a big soaker of a low-pressure system stateside. We are going to miss the heaviest precipitation associated with this. But again, expect cloud and scattered showers as we make our way through today, through tomorrow. And yeah, there's really a chance of showers every day for the rest of the week and heading into the long weekend. It's not a lot of rain, maybe 5 to 10 millimeters over the next 2 days here. Niagara, you might see a little more by comparison. Timing-wise, here's how that plays out. I mentioned 4 or 5 o'clock today. Prepare for a few showers locally. Again, late evening and into the overnight. Waking up tomorrow morning, you might need the umbrella as well. And then Wednesday, I do see potential for a few more sunny breaks, but also the risk of a thunderstorm. So bear that in mind. Today's high is expected to be, well, we've already made it to 21 degrees. We'll see if we climb higher than that. Overnight tonight, 13 degrees for the low. Normal this time of year is 9. And then a snapshot of tomorrow shows temperatures in the 20s, low 20s and teens in some areas too, but not bad. We're not really cooling down until we make our way into the second half of the long weekend. And I'm going to talk about that because, well, yes, we are expecting cooler weather. It's also going to become a little bit drier. So we will eventually say goodbye to this unsettled pattern that we're dealing with through much of the week. Want to point out Friday, forecast daytime high 26. So starting to tap into some of that heat for us here in southern Ontario as well. But compare that to a high of only 15 degrees for this coming Sunday. And there's Victoria Day Monday. At this point, we are anticipating variable cloudiness, chance of a shower, and a daytime high of 16 degrees. Going to be nice to bring back the fireworks and, of course, enjoy the first long weekend of the unofficial start to the summer season. That's your weather for now. Nathan, I'll send things over to you.
Thank you, Lindsay. It's a taste of the country in the heart of the city. Spring is in the air at the High Park Zoo.
And if you haven't visited before, now is the perfect time to check it out. That's where we find CTV's Jessica Smith, who's joined by the Friends of the High Park Zoo to learn more about the new arrivals and the animals you'll see here. Love cute animals. Tell us more.
Listen, there is nothing cuter than baby animals, and we have a few of them here. We have 2 really special ones. I'm also joined by Sarah Doucette. You're here with the Friends of the High Park Zoo, and who are these 2 adorable little friends sitting beside us?
Well, the slightly larger lady here is Molly McMoo, who's been named by the public with the help of our zookeepers providing us with some names. And beside her is her little brother, who isn't named yet.
So I know people love naming animals, and you guys will eventually have a contest. So tell us a little bit more about that, because I feel like I have some suggestions.
So what we do, because these animals, the zookeepers work with these animals a lot. So we ask them for some suggestions, and they will give us 3, 4 names, which are suitable, appropriate. And then we put it out on our website, friendsofhighparkzoo.ca, and people get to choose. People can vote for the favorite name on our website, and we usually give about 2 weeks, and then we give a tally, and the animal gets named.
And they're just a few of the incredible animals that you have here at the zoo. There are 38 now. We got the math because of the latest additions. But how great is it to have this in the heart of the city where people can come down and take a walk on the wild side in the heart of the city?
I think it's amazing. A lot of people don't have their own backyard garden. The fact that the park itself, High Park, is free and the zoo is definitely free. And one of Friends of High Park Zoo's mission, vision statements is we always want to have a free, accessible zoo here for the community to come and visit whenever they want. The zoo is open right now. The summer hours are 9 a.m. to 7 p.m.
And I feel like as we were walking through, we saw the llamas who got fresh haircuts, but their hair is going to go to a great purpose.
Yes, so we don't let anything go to waste. The llamas were sheared a couple of weeks ago. The zookeepers arranged to have them sheared every summer because it can get very hot. Friends of High Park Zoo then pick up the fleece. We take it to a mill up near Orangeville. They clean it and spin it and make it into llama wool. And then stay tuned again to our website and you will learn how you can actually purchase llama wool from our very own llamas at High Park Zoo.
It's so cool that it stays very local and that we can get it kind of turned into something that is useful again. We walked by the capybaras. We can hear the peacocks shouting, doing their thing. You know, how does it make you feel to see people come through, young and old, maybe coming back with their families when they were here as kids themselves, enjoying the park? Yeah, you sing it, sister. But how does it make you feel?
This is what it's all about. This is why, as a city councillor, I worked very hard with the community to save the zoo. We started saving it in 2012. We've now gone beyond. We're now, as Friends of High Park Zoo, we're enhancing. We've got a master plan going to be happening in the next few years. It is vital that you have this sort of close activity near to the subway. People can walk in, they can drive in, they can bike in. This is what it's about, to see people talking to the animals, to see the smiles on their faces. It makes it all worthwhile. It really does.
I mean, I have a smile on my face, not just because of Molly McMoo and her brother, but because of all the animals here. You can go to highpark.ca for more information. Sarah, thank you so much. Nathan, I'm going to send things back inside to you.
All right. Thank you, Jess. Still to come, a 15-year-old student at a Montreal university. What the future holds for an international genius who can no longer afford to study in Canada.
Alberta has opened the door to a potential separation from Canada.
Premier Danielle Smith introduced a bill that would make it easier for Albertans to launch referendums on various topics, including leaving Canada. Now, a separatist group is offering up its referendum proposal. The Alberta Prosperity Project says the following question needs to be answered. Do you agree the province shall become a sovereign country and cease to be a province of Canada? Polls suggest 1/3 of Albertans would support separation, but most want to stay Canadian. And for more on this, we're joined now by CTV's Scott Hurst. Separate referendum in Alberta separation become a reality?
Nathan, that is a group that is looking to capitalize on this issue and take the issue of Western alienation, Western separation, and get it to a referendum. This group says, the Alberta Prosperity Project says, online support, it has the support of some 240,000 Albertans in favor of independence. However, of course, online support far different than getting their name specifically on a petition. But the group on its website has a stated goal of empowering Alberta to pursue prosperity, self-determination, and sovereignty, going on to say Alberta risks remaining, quote, perpetually subservient to the interests of Eastern Canada. However, as you mentioned, recent polling suggested there is some public support for separation in Alberta, but it, at this time, falls far short of a majority, Nathan.
Has the Alberta government made it easier to call a provincial referendum?
Well, what we know so far, Alberta Premier Danielle Smith says she will respect any outcome of a referendum, but insists that she does not support this initiative. Now, despite pushback that we've seen against the previous Liberal government, and now stating her priorities for the Mark Carney Liberal government, Smith has said she's focused primarily on getting a better deal for Albertans within Canada. As you mentioned, the Alberta Premier has introduced a bill that, if passed, would make it easier for Albertans to launch referendums, and this legislation would significantly reduce the number of signatures required and extend the time period for signatures to be collected. As I mentioned, Smith has repeatedly said she doesn't want to separate, but she feels that Alberta's voice needs to be respected. However, in this talk of Western separation, we've also heard a lot from First Nations groups, and they've ramped up their conversation to say that they condemn any talk of separating from Canada. Nathan?
You know, it's hard to generalize, but based on this poll, what is the reason why 1/3 of Albertans want to leave?
Well, we've heard this groundswell of Western alienation, Nathan, particularly over the last couple of years, as we've been hearing from the Alberta Premier and others in Alberta, that they feel that Alberta's voice has not been heard in Ottawa and that its priorities are not being put to the forefront in Ottawa. So in the wake of this latest election, we've heard this as well, this groundswell of a lot of people, a significant amount of people, as we said at the moment, according to polling, far short of a majority, but a significant amount of people that feel alienated with the current process and the current relationship between Alberta and Ottawa.
CTV's Scott Hurst in the CTV National Newsroom. Thank you.
Thanks, Nathan.
An international teen prodigy was first accepted to Montreal's Concordia University at just 13 years old.
But she might not be able to continue her studies there. The Quebec government has raised tuition for international students, and as CTV's Kelly Gregg reports, she can't afford it.
While most students here are in their 20s, Sarah Saidi is just 15.
I finished the entire elementary school material when I was 6.
Her parents discovered her talents as a baby. She started talking around 1 year old and graduated high school at 13 just 2 years ago.
I didn't tell anyone about my age because I didn't want them to treat me differently.
Saidi was initially accepted to Concordia University at 13 years old. But because her study documents took so long to come in, she only started last fall, right at the same time as the provincial government raised tuition for international students to over $20,000.
The value of the Iranian currency is just dropping so rapidly, it is crazy. So if we were counting on getting money from Iran, from my father who lives there, it just doesn't work anymore.
Now, despite having a 4.0 GPA in biochemistry, straight A's, and a letter from a professor saying Sarah Saidi is a truly gifted young student, and I had no idea she was years younger than my typical students, she might not be able to continue, and that would force her to go back to Iran.
It's heavy, it's huge, and things are not good there for a woman, for a young woman specifically.
Over the past few years, Iran has cracked down on university students in the face of protests over the death of a 22-year-old woman in police custody. Her legal guardian in Canada says it's not safe.
For her to go back, it's very dangerous, and I don't want her to have any fear.
The university says to get a study permit from Quebec and Canada, international students must show to both governments that they have sufficient funds to study here. Saidi now has just weeks to get the money together while keeping up her studies.
Knowing that every single grade that I earn is going to determine my entire future and my entire status to even stay in this country.
At just 15 years old, she's trying to figure out how to keep her academic dreams alive. Kelly Gregg, CTV News.
Kim Kardashian is testifying today against the people accused of tying her up and robbing her at gunpoint in her Paris hotel room in 2016. The billionaire is detailing the burglary during Paris Fashion Week, where she was robbed of nearly $10 million in cash and jewelry. A friend of Kardashian, who was in another part of the hotel suite during the attack, also testified today to hearing the celebrity pleading for her life. The 10 defendants are facing charges including armed robbery, kidnapping, and conspiracy. 8 have denied involvement, while 2 have admitted to lesser offenses. The trial is scheduled until next Thursday.
The 78th Cannes Film Festival opens today. Over the next 12 days, Cannes will play host to high-profile premieres. There's a long list of anticipated filmmakers with their premieres, including Spike Lee, Wes Anderson, and Lynn Ramsey. Kristen Stewart and Scarlett Johansson will also be making their directorial debuts, while Robert De Niro is set to receive an honorary award. This year's festival is also making headlines after organizers banned nudity from the red carpet. The move is a response to a recent trend of naked dresses. Long trains are also forbidden over concerns they'll slow down the flow of traffic. The festival runs until May 24th.
A new short film co-directed by two Wilfrid Laurier University grads is highlighting the contributions made by 6 soldiers in the First World War. As CTV's Spencer Turcotte reports, it's a story where cultural identity and beliefs are put to the test on the front lines.
A rebellious young Sikh man at odds with his father enlists in the Canadian military during World War I in a new short film, The Unknown Soldier.
It's been almost, like 100 years now? And as a result of that, the participation of South Asian men in the World War I is often not portrayed on screen.
The film's co-director and Wilfrid Laurier University grad Aviel Karulkar wants to change that by showcasing the contributions of Indian men who fought for Canada while dealing with challenges their counterparts didn't face.
How do you manage your faith and at the same time be a part of this war that you really don't know what you're getting into, right?
It's something lead actor Ajinkya Dugge had to learn a lot about to immerse himself in the role.
Because I was playing the role of a Sikh man, I had to grow the beard, I had to wear the turban, but the moment you wear it, you don't want the audience to feel like, he's not wearing the turban properly, or he doesn't, he's not wearing the beard properly.
But he resonated with the main character who felt there was nobody else like him.
When I left India back in 2016, I was in early 20s, and I used to be homesick. I used to miss my family, and there's definitely an aspect of this character that I can completely relate with and that resonates with me, which is feeling homesick and feeling outsider.
Making a big-time movie usually means a big-time budget, something co-director and Laurier grad Javier Alfaro admits they didn't have. So they got creative, shooting around southwestern Ontario, fundraising which gave them access to Hollywood-level equipment, and of course, connecting with the right people.
In Chatham, there's this man named Tim. He runs the Canadian Historical Society up there, and he built a trench in his backyard. And so it's like a up-to-specs trench. He had authentic World War I uniforms, authentic World War I weaponry, and so it just kind of all fell in place.
That tree line north 9 kilometers. Part of the research for the film included learning about a very special Waterloo Region connection to a Sikh hero from World War I, whose gravesite is the only known one for a Sikh soldier in Canada.
We went for the Remembrance Day ceremonies of Private Buckam Singh here in Kitchener.
And with the film's full release set for next year, this team made up of a lot of local talent is hoping this project is seen on a national and international stage.
We're hoping to screen at TIFF, so TIFF, if you're watching, know that the Unknown Soldier is coming.
Spencer Turcotte, CTV News, Kitchener.
Still to come, searching for love and fortune and losing vast amounts of money in the process. A warning about scams involving psychics. More victims come forward. CTV News investigates after the break.
Get Toronto's top stories, breaking news alerts, and watch live. Download the CTV News app.
Some people believe in the power of psychics and visit with them for palm readings and spiritual guidance.
But if a psychic makes unrealistic promises and asks for a lot of money, that should be a red flag that something isn't right. And as CTV's Pat Foran reports, some people learn that the hard way.
It's a trap.
Joanne Whalen went to a psychic who promised her she could make a man at the gym fall in love with her. It started with $500, but eventually she handed over more than $50,000. The love connection never did happen.
I said to her, why isn't anything happening for me? All I'm doing is paying you money.
When we did the story, the psychic said she would give Whalen her money back, but she didn't.
I was so trapped in it mentally.
We also heard from a man named Ray who asked us not to identify him. His wife had died and he started online dating. He went to a psychic to find out if a woman he met would be a good match.
He was telling me the girl likes you very much.
The psychic said he could make the woman fall madly in love with him.
The girl loves you more. It's like that.
If you give $12,000.
Yeah.
Ray married the woman, but they immediately had problems. The psychic said he could repair the relationship for more money. They told you they'd fix your marriage.
Yeah.
And did they fix your marriage?
No.
Ray gave 3 psychics $75,000. Another man, HJ, also asked us not to show his identity. A psychic told him he was controlled by demons.
that whatever demon was in me or my family would be removed.
The psychic kept asking for more money, and HJ was told if he paid it, the demons would be purged and he would win a huge jackpot.
He did some prayers, he said, and then what he did is he said, "Oh, you're a lucky man. You can win the lottery and all that."
In the end, HJ gave the psychic $80,000.
I'm an idiot. I'm sorry. I feel like an idiot. Total idiot. I let this thing happen to me.
They're really like any other type of fraud. They're targeting vulnerabilities.
Detective David Coffey says psychic frauds are not always reported, and there's no guarantee victims will have their money returned. But he says charging large amounts of money and making unrealistic claims is illegal.
The criminal code's quite clear, though. Fraud is when somebody uses deception to defraud another person.
Both Ray and HJ say giving away so much money has ruined their finances, and they're not sure how they'll recover. Pat Foran, CTV News.
An Ontario court has extended Hudson Bay's creditor protection until the end of July. A lawyer for Canada's oldest retailer had argued the extension was necessary due to the ongoing process of finding buyers for the business and its assets. Today, the judge extended that protection to July 31st. The judge also granted a request to allow the company to pay as much as $165 million to the Bay's senior lenders. Hudson's Bay filed for creditor protection in March, citing difficulties paying its mounting bills as it liquidates all of its stores.
To sports, Maple Leaf goalie Anthony Stlars was on the ice this morning ahead of the team's practice. The goaltender faced shots and got some work in with goalie coach Curtis Sanford. Stlars was injured in the opening game against the Panthers last night. He was taken to hospital but was back at the team's facility the next day. TSN reports Stlars has previously been on the ice since the injury, but the team will not rush him back. Stlars was on the ice for around half an hour, but left before the start of practice. And the rest of the team practiced this morning as they get set for Game 5. The series is tied 2 games apiece, with the home team winning every game so far. Puck drop at Scotiabank Arena tomorrow night is set for just after 7. And you can expect Maple Leaf Square will be packed with fans cheering on the Buds.
The NBA draft lottery was held in Chicago last night, and we now know when the Raptors will be picking in the first round.
The 9th pick goes to the Toronto Raptors.
The Raptors finished with the 7th worst record in the NBA this season, but they moved down 2 spots and will pick 9th in this summer's draft. The Dallas Mavericks moved all the way up to the 1st pick, having only a 1.8% shot at winning the lottery. They now have the first chance of selecting Duke freshman Cooper Flagg, who is expected to be the top pick.
And there's a new addition to the ownership group of Toronto's new professional women's basketball team. Canadian actress, writer, and advocate Lily Singh is joining the Toronto Tempo as the team's chief hype officer. The Scarboro native will be tasked with building and amplifying excitement for the Tempo on and off the court, including cultivating the fan community. Singh joins tennis great Serena Williams, technology leader Sukhinder Singh Cassidy, and Larry Tannenbaum into the Tempo ownership group. The Tempo will begin playing at Coca-Cola Coliseum in May 2026.
The Toronto Blue Jays look to keep their winning ways going as they kick off a homestand at Rogers Centre tonight.
And he hits this one to deep right field. It's gone.
The Jays swept the Mariners in Seattle on Sunday, their 4th straight road win. This evening, Toronto welcomes the Rays to town to begin a 3-game set. Jose Barrios will be on the mound for the Jays, who lead Tampa by 2 games in the American League East. Lindsay. A note to motorists and transit users, a busy downtown Toronto intersection will fully close for 2 months this summer as crews replace 142-year-old water mains in the area. The work at King and Church started this week, reducing traffic to 1 lane in each direction. Construction is going to ramp up in July when the intersection will fully close for the replacement of pipes and streetcar tracks that run through King and Church. It's not expected to be complete until the end of August. As a result of this work, 3 streetcar routes are also diverting in the area with no service on King between Spadina and River.
SpaceX is adding to its internet satellite constellation.
More pieces were sent into orbit today aboard a Falcon 9 rocket.
3, 2, 1, ignition, engine full power, and liftoff. Go SpaceX, go Starlink.
And there it goes, a rocket lifting off from the Cape Canaveral Space Force Station in Florida early this morning. The craft later delivered 28 satellites into low Earth orbit for the Starlink internet system. The first stage of the rocket later successfully landed on a drone ship at sea. About 7,400 Starlink satellites have reportedly been deployed so far.
All right, so looking at the forecast, we know that rain is a possibility, but don't cancel your plans, especially if the kids have things to do after school.
And then people are busy this time of year, all the soccer, the baseballs.
Yeah.
So what do we need to know?
Well, it looks like we're going to get showers in the GTA today. It's a matter of when, it's a matter of where, because these are scattered in nature. So just prepare for the possibility. Let's take one more look at the satellite and radar. Those showers are approaching from the south and now just starting to push into especially the west end of the GTA. Tonight's forecast low, about 13 degrees. That's warmer than normal. Tomorrow, here's your lawn and garden forecast. Another 20-degree day. We do have the risk of a thunderstorm tomorrow. So that icon, it looks a little menacing, but there's just the risk of an embedded late afternoon storm. A good portion of the day tomorrow is going to be dry. Once again, we have that chance of scattered showers. It's a similar situation for Thursday and Friday, hopefully with some more sunny breaks. Saturday begins unsettled, but the second half of the long weekend looks drier and cooler. Nathan and Michelle.
All right, not so bad. Thank you, Lindsay. And that is CTV News at noon. Remember, you can get Toronto's breaking news all day long on CP24 and at ctvnewstoronto.ca.
For Lindsay Morrison and all of us here, we're still here. Have a pleasant afternoon. I'm Michelle Dubé.
And I'm Nathan Downer. Be sure to join us later for CTV News at 5 and 6. Have a great afternoon.